last bit of things happening, you know how it goes. Well, if you have kids, or if you see anything on Facebook, you probably understand. So we are finally back in action, and I am so excited because we have Nikki Wolf again. I don't know if you guys have seen Nikki on our Modern Agent Blueprints before, but she always comes with amazing content for us, and I am super duper excited to have her back again. And today we're going to be talking about creating lifelong relationships, basically from day one, from the buyer's consultation. And I think, in the market that we're in now, where things are slowing down, we're kind of in a slump. This is a great time to kind of reevaluate things. Maybe not a slump, but things are slower than normal. I think this is a great time to kind of reevaluate your systems and your processes, and maybe your buyer consultation, and how you will move forward going here. Because Nikki, you get a lot of your business from referrals, right?
Yep. So I would say 85% of my business is from past clients and referrals from them. So I really try to hone in on nurturing those relationships, not just while they're working with me, but afterwards as well. And maybe if they're a warm lead in the beginning, to just constantly stay in contact with them, even if it's not, necessarily providing real estate advice. It's just being that friend to them and letting them know that you genuinely care about what's going on in their life.
Yep. And I mean, if you guys have seen Nikki's stuff before, she has some amazing branding. She's done a bang up job on her branding. Everyone knows it. I mean, I don't even have, if I'm scrolling aimlessly and I'm like, oh, there's Nikki, it's going to be Nikki, by her branding. So she knows a thing or two about branding and client relationships and everything. So I'm super excited to see what she's going to share today with us. So
yay.
Nikki, I'm going to hand it over to you. Do you want to do a quick intro? I don't know if you have one in your slide deck.
Yep, let's see. I will do share screen. Share. Okay, and then present. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yep.
Oh, right. So let's see here. Okay, so a little bit about me. I was born and raised in the Toledo, Ohio area, in a city called Oregon, Ohio. Most people don't know where that is, so I just say Toledo, and then people have a rough idea. I had went to Bowling Green State University, got a major in interior design and marketing. And then after graduation, I moved out to Southern California with my ex-husband. We were not married, but together at the time. And I did commercial interior design out there in Newport Beach area, and he was getting his master's of architecture out there. So I'm an avid traveler. I've always loved seeing new things, trying new things, and meeting new people. When we moved back to Ohio after he graduated, basically we moved back because we wanted to start a family. All of our family was in Ohio, and everything is super expensive out in California. So we moved back here to start a family, and I started a business doing event design and coordination. So using my design and marketing, doing events. So I did that for about 10 years. And then we had gotten divorced. My life changed a lot, and I decided to sell the business and do something else. So I currently have a 13-year-old daughter named Isabella. And then I have two bonus sons. My boyfriend has two kids, Anthony and Connor, and they are 17 and 16 right now. So they all keep us very busy in sports. I personally like playing softball, golf, basketball, bowling. I try to stay as active as I possibly can. All right, so let's see here. So starting from the beginning, like I had said previously, the majority of my business comes from client referrals. So I've had clients that I'm not even currently working with, but they've approached me because they were referred to me. And, you know, we've had that initial conversation on what they're wanting. They're not quite there yet. They have referred business to me, even though they haven't personally done business with me. So the initial contact, I like to start here and kind of show you how I set up that buyer consultation with them. So this is what an example of maybe an email would look like if somebody referred somebody to me. So I let them know, you know, good evening. I had the pleasure of speaking with so-and-so. They mentioned that so this one came from a lender. They mentioned that you're already pre-approved. I put in there, you know, that they're a wonderful lender because I want them to know that they're in good hands. If this was a personal referral, I would let them know, you know, how I know that person. Say, you know, congratulations on on wanting to purchase a home, and let them know why I want to sit down with them and why it's important. Because a lot of times the buyers are going to try to get out of this because they think that they, you know, don't have the time. They just want to start to see houses. But it is really important in the beginning that you set expectations. So that is what I do in the initial buyer consultation. So I let them know I would love to schedule a brief 20-minute meeting. Now, in the beginning, did it take me longer than 20 minutes? Yes, probably 30 to 45. However, the more times you do this buyer consultation, the faster it's going to be. And they're willing to take 20 minutes out of their time to understand the process. So then I ask them, you know, what their availability is and get it booked with them. I have not had anyone tell me no from saying it's a brief 20-minute meeting. I have them come to me to my office. And then when we meet, I have these two things ready. So I have my buyer's guide that I print out for them. I also have a copy, and then this buyer intake sheet. So what I do with this buyer intake sheet is this is how I fill out the information to set them up on a search. So I have, you know, their contact information, where the lead came from, how they prefer to be contacted. Are they renting? If they are, when is their lease up? Do they have a house to sell? All of that important information. I find out what their price range is. Are they pre-approved? Are they not? So this is my notes page. I then take this page when we are done and set them up on their custom home search. If I want to pass this lead along to someone else on my team, I have all of the information that they need to move forward with this. So let's see here. Okay, so this is what my buyer's guide looks like. So I literally, this has taken me years to perfect, because anytime buyers have a new question that I see being repetitive, I want to add that to this guide. So I literally just go over the whole thing with them. So I kind of skip this page because they already know why they're choosing me. But at least when they leave, they have this as a reference guide. I let them know, okay, so we're going to start with the home buying process. We're either going to meet in person or Zoom, depending on where you are. And the first part of this process is we're going to discuss finances and pre-approval, why it is important to have a pre-approval first. We talk about if you're a cash buyer, that what I'm going to need from you, I will need proof of funds. What does proof of funds look like? So go over that in detail with them. If they need a lender, I show them the different lenders that I work with to give them some referrals. Then I tell them, okay, so now once we have your proof of funds or pre-approval, we can move on to the next step, which is setting you up on a home search. So the reason why I asked you these questions previously about how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's your budget, all of those things is so that I can set you up on this search. Now, if you do not have a pre-approval and you do not know your set budget yet, this is why you need to take that step to get pre-approved, so that we can really hone in on the exact details of your home search. And then I walk them through what showings look like. So once you're pre-approved, once you once we find a house or two that we want to look at, this is how showings look with me. Firstly, I always recommend that they do a drive-by of the property if possible. Usually this weans out several properties. I've had a few clients that'll send me a list of like 25 properties that they want to see. I know right out the gate that they did not drive by 25 properties. So I remind them, please make sure that you drive by these properties and let me know if you're still interested, because there are a lot of things that pictures will not show you. And I want to make sure that they like the neighborhood, they like the lot, and that the pictures aren't deceiving. 9 times out of 10, that list of 25 or 20 gets weaned down to like 5. So it's very important that they do a drive-by. I also let them know, I'll say, hey, once you've done the drive-by, please send me the list of houses you want to see and what your availability is. And I let them know that some houses are, owner occupied and may need 24 hours in advance for showing. So it's setting those expectations ahead of time. I let them know typically how long it takes to go through each house. Now, each buyer is going to be a little bit different, but it shouldn't take 30 minutes to go through a house. You can go through a house within 15, 20 minutes, unless obviously it's like a 5,000 square foot house. I let them know, moving on, once they find a house that they like, now what? Because that is everyone's biggest question. They're, usually standing in the house, they're like, I really like this. Now what? What do we do now? So I let them know, okay, well, now we will move forward to placing an offer. These are things that I will need from you in order to write this offer up, and what the parts of that purchase agreement are. So we talk about, purchase price. Obviously, that's a negotiable item. How to determine what you should offer. I let them know, hey, when we're in the house, I can pull nearby comps of what things have sold for. Nowadays, I'm like, hey, this house is the highest price home that sold. How does this current house compare to that? Or this is the lowest price home. And I let them know how I feel if the home is overpriced or underpriced, and kind of guide them. However, I make sure that they know it is their responsibility to tell me what they're comfortable offering. I will never say you need to offer X amount. But I do my best to provide them with all the facts so that they can make the best decision. I let them know what earnest money is. Most people have no idea what earnest money is. They don't even know they have to have it. So that's an additional cost that they need to be made aware of before they're putting in any offers. Home inspections. We talk about how long a home inspection lasts and that they should attend their home inspection, and what the options are when the home inspection comes back. So again, setting those expectations and guiding them that, like, hey, we should only be asking for health and safety related items or any big ticket items. We should not nickel and dime the buyer over a loose toilet or anything random like that. Now, if all of the windows are painted shut and we cannot open them, that's a safety issue. We need to be able to open up those windows in case of a fire. We're going to want to ask for that. Or if the roof is on its last leg and needs repaired, that's a big expense. It may not be a safety issue, but it is something we want to address. So again, setting those expectations with them so that they know what to do and how to proceed when they're in each one of these steps. Closing and possession, discussing with them how to read an MLS sheet, because I will send them MLS sheets when they are interested in a house so that they can see room sizes and taxes and possession and where that is located, because some buyers want possession at close. This time in the market, they're hopefully very flexible because you have to be, but it's letting them know the things to look for. And deadline. I let them know that every offer does have a deadline, but I also let them know that they have to be realistic and that it is a seller's market and some sellers do not care about deadlines. So, just making them aware of that so that they're not surprised and upset.
Hey, Nikki.
Yeah.
How many days do you usually give them as a deadline for offer?
Depends on the property. Usually I try to do 24 hours, but if I'm writing a very strong offer, I've done like an acceptance within a few hours. Now, I do let my clients know that, hey, we can try to do this, but they may just tell us get lost. You never know. It's a gamble. So it's up to them to decide how they want to proceed if the seller chooses to say, yeah, I don't care what your deadline is. But I usually try to do 24 hours. I always have a conversation with the listing agent before I submit an offer to find out, are there multiple offers on the table? Because if there are, chances are a short deadline isn't going to matter. They're going to present them when they want to. So if there's not, however, a short deadline could encourage them to accept our offer.
With
I would
it,
say-
Sierra, the other thing too, if you know that they have a deadline of like Monday at 3, then make your deadline or make your time limit, after that. So then, you're at least taking into account that in some situations.
I thought it was just always standard 2 days. I'm not sure who told me that, but I always put mine for like 2 days, the second day at 11 p.m., something like that.
I always
But-
do 24 hours too.
Okay, that's good to know.
Any other questions yet? Okay. So then we talk about seller concessions, AKA closing costs. And if they're going to need those, what that's going to look like as far as how we integrate that into our offer, because a lot of buyers don't understand that if they're asking for closing costs, that's money out of the seller's pocket. So how we can build that into our offer. And I also am very realistic with them. And I just say, listen, with this competitive market right now, any other offer that comes in that's not asking for seller concessions is going to be a stronger offer than you. So you would be better off or have a stronger offer if you had that money to pay your own closing costs. So maybe that means you hold off buying for 2 months or whatever so that you can save that money to get an offer accepted. What does that look like to that buyer? But having that conversation with them and then letting them know what the seller can do in regards to a response to our offer. So they can obviously accept the offer as is. They can counter the offer with any of those negotiable items. So they can come back, obviously, and say, hey, we like the purchase price. We don't want to give you a home warranty. We want 14 days, after closing for possession, whatever. Educating the buyer on what things they can counter. Or they can simply decline and talk to them more about what a multiple offer situation looks like and educating them and saying, okay, if somebody asks for highest and best, what does that mean? Because there's been some buyers that I've explained it and they still don't quite grasp it. They're like, oh, well, why didn't they come back and counter our offer? Well, because that's not what highest and best means, and I told you this. And a lot of times I'll encourage them, if there's multiple offers, to go in at their highest and best initially, because there's been a couple times where sellers don't ask for highest and best. They're just going to take whoever's highest and best right out the gate because they don't want to they don't want to mess with all of these other offers and constantly going back and forth. So again, it's up to the buyer how they want to proceed, but it's my job to educate them on their options. So then we go over, once you get an accepted offer, what does that mean? So I always send out, an email that guides them on when their earnest money is due, when, a timeline of their inspection and all of that. Educate them on the inspection period, how many days. Most of the time, these buyers are not reading the purchase agreements. They're just signing. So it's reminding them what the timeline is and that they need to be there. And then going over, okay, this is the inspection report. Once you've gotten it back, these are the items. I never tell them what I think should be addressed. I always ask them what they want addressed. And then I'll review the report and see if there's anything major that I think that they overlooked. And maybe suggest that we add that. I also give some recommendations as far as inspectors, because most people don't have any, but they can use whoever they want. Talk about appraisal, and what an FHA appraisal looks like, or the process if they're going FHA, the things that we need to look for: chipping paint, handrails, appliances. Having these conversations in the beginning with FHA and VA buyers is very important, because you need to find out, do they have money to make these repairs if the sellers refuse? Because that's something you can write into your offer, which has gotten me several offers accepted, saying my buyers are willing to make any and all FHA, VA, whatever repairs necessary. So that takes the liability and the risk out for the seller. And it may also open them up to several more homes available to them that maybe weren't listed FHA or VA because they didn't feel they qualified and didn't have the money to make those repairs. I let them know after, or that the lender is the one that orders the appraisal. They don't have to do anything with that. Unlike the inspection, they pay and hire the inspector. I let them know that appraisals can take a little while to get back in with the results. So preparing them for that and letting them know, hey, you may have like a week or so where it's just like dead air and it seems like nothing is going on that is completely normal. People are working behind the scenes, but we are good. And then talking to them a little bit, just touching on the underwriting process and how they're going to verify their employment. They're going to check their credit again to make sure that they didn't, open up any lines of credit while they're under contract, that they didn't go buy a house or a car or change jobs. So it's, guiding them through all of this. That they're going to need home insurance and going over, some referrals for that. And then talking about preparing to close and all of that great fun stuff. So, and then they have this guide with them that they can take home and review, as they're going through the process. So this has worked very well for me, and helps outline the whole buyer consultation.
It's so thorough, Nikki. It's like,
Thank you.
I'm like looking at, like, thinking about my buyer's guide, and my buyer's guide, I got it on Etsy, and it's like, and it's just like blips on little things, but not as in depth. And I do feel like you're right. Like, so many of these questions, instead of putting it in an email or whatever, you could just have it in this guide. You have it as a PDF. You can mail it, send it over. It's great. It's so thorough. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. So I usually, when they come, and I always want them to leave with something. So that's, I have my pens for them, my business card, and then this guide, and then they feel like they have something to take with them. Let's see what else we have here. So this just talks, I had went through all of this already. So setting expectations early with showings. Okay, so once the offer is accepted. So this is a example of the email that I send out as soon as we get an accepted contract. So it says, congratulations, we're officially under contract. I'm so excited for you and Andy, and will help you throughout each step of the closing process. Here's what's next. Number one, I've attached signed copies of the purchase agreement and other signed documents in this email. So we use what's called is dot loop here. I know that you guys probably use SkySlope. So I found that my buyers, like, they'll sign that stuff, but then they never can figure out how to get back into them. So I download it all and attach it in this email so that it can easily access it. And I copy the lender, my admin, and the title company on this. I let them know that their earnest money is due within 3 days, what that deposit was, because again, they don't look at the purchase agreement. Let them know that it can be submitted via this link. So most of the title companies here, you can submit the payment online. So then I put that link in there. Lets them know that it served as their deposit, blah, blah, blah. Let them know however long we have for the inspection period. So for this one, it has 10 days. And give them those referrals right here. I also let them know that I've copied my admins on this email So it's doing that introduction to your transaction coordinator or whoever that might be reaching out to them. Before I started doing this, and I would have my transaction coordinator reach out, my buyers would be like, who's this Brendan that's contacting me? Like, is this legit? You know, and then I realized, oh shoot, I should probably be doing an introduction. So once I put that introduction into this email and then had them on it, it eliminated any confusion and everybody seems to be on the same page. And then also the lender and the title company know to be CCing my admins on all future correspondence. I let them know that the title company, who it is going to be working behind the scenes, what they're going to be doing, because a lot of times they're wondering what they're paying the title company for. And also let them know that once we get the clear to close and have and are able to schedule our closing, we'll do a final walkthrough. So it's just, again, walking them through the steps.
Do you always do $1,000 EMD?
No, it depends on the price of the home. So $1,000 is the minimum that I do on a house. I just did a $5,000 EMD on a house.
Sierra, it should always be between 1% and 3% of the purchase price. And I would say 1% is the very, very
Minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually always just do 2,000. I thought that was just standard number. And then I thought it was always 2 days. Is that negotiable of how many days they can turn in the earnest money?
It should be outlined in your purchase agreement. It should say in there.
We have a line. We normally do 2 days, Sierra.
2 days, okay.
Although
It's actually a Michigan, isn't it a Michigan law or contingency? They have to have it in within 3 days.
it's, yeah. And you know what's so
Yeah.
funny is on our purchase agreement, we just noticed that it
Yeah.
actually says calendar days, not business days.
Yeah.
So you might have to account for that. Although I have never had an issue with somebody being like, you didn't turn on your earnest money on a Saturday, you know, like.
Yeah.
people are
Some
under-
brokerages though are sticklers and they want to have it like, they want to have that like signed and dated by, or the transaction, you know, when they wire the money, like dated within those 3 days. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's, I guess it's
Yep.
what I'm saying as far for Michigan anyway.
So that is a very good point to make sure that you tell your clients that it is calendar days, not business days. So that is also imperative with the home inspection. So when you're right, you know, your home inspection time frame, because I think that they just initially think it is business days, but it is not. So be very clear that they know. I also include in that email an attachment where I do the timeline or important dates. So timeline of important dates so that they can see when everything is due. So again, you know, what the purchase price is, when the contract was executed, what their EMD was, when it's due, when the inspection period ends, estimated closing date on or before, because every buyer is like, oh, we're closing on this date. What time? And it's like, no, it's not necessarily on this date. It can be on or before. We will not know till we get closer to the date. And then what the possession is. So, you know, if it's 30 days, 14 days post-closing, whatever, but outlining it all here for them. And then I try to do a status update every Tuesday with all of my clients that are under contract or sellers or what have you. Even if I have no update, it's just saying, hey, you know, just checking in, letting you know we're still on track. No, nothing new to report, but just making sure that they hear from you. I feel like I'm not doing my job if my client has to reach out to me first.
I think that's really smart though, because you're stepping in and saying like, hey, you know, I remember I did a deal. I was on the buy side with this lender who every Tuesday, no, I'm sorry. I was on the sell side. Every Tuesday she called me with her mortgage update. And it was just so nice to have like somebody actually like chiming in like, hey, here's where we're at. This is what we're going to do. We're on track, blah, blah, blah. That was awesome. But I was going to say, one thing that I love, and I don't know, I can't remember if you were on the mastermind, but we talked about High Note.
Oh yeah.
So High Note, I replaced my "you're under contract, now what" email with High Note. And what I love about it is that one, I like that you have your quick guide of like, here's all your dates. I put everything in high note instead of an email because my email was like 4,000 like scrolls, where people are like, this
Mhm.
is like too much info. You can only highlight and bold out so many things where people
Yeah.
are like, paying attention or not. So with high note, it's a website, with each section is broken down. And I have like in my headline, inspection due by this date. And I have everything in there. Then you have all your clickable links and all your stuff. And it's made it so much easier because everything's in bite-sized chunks. And
It's a
then
presentation format.
yeah, and then I can see
Yep.
anytime any of my clients are going back in, I get an email saying, Sam is looking at his high note again. So then
Oh,
if,
good.
so then if they have questions, I know they're going back in there because they're looking for something. So then I
Right.
can reach out, just like, hey, just checking in. I saw you opened your high note. Do you have a question? And then then they know that I can see what they're doing. And it helps them because then maybe they're like, oh, we just can't remember what this thing is, or, where did we put that? Or where's that at? And then I can easily help them without them having to get stressed out about not being able to find something.
It
Right.
breaks down a beautiful slideshow like Nikki just put together and like a big presentation like that. It breaks it down into chunks and like, okay, here's these certain sections that, so they're like, oh, now I need to know what's the next date. Oh, here it is right here in this little section on high note. That's what I love about it so much. It's just, it makes it the presentation and it just chunks it into kind of easier way to present
Easy
it,
to
the
digest.
information.
Right.
Huh?
I said easier to digest.
Yeah, and
Um,
breaks it down in chunks, so it's not like overwhelming. And then they can easily go back and reference it too, and they can scroll down and be like, it says inspections and appraisals right there, and then they click on that and see your slideshow of the
Yeah.
few slides that you have of that, which is so nice.
Right. Hey, Nikki, Dawn wants to know where you're making the template for your under contract dates. Are you doing that in Canva?
Yes.
And you can buy, so you can make that yourself, but you can also buy templates like that on Etsy.
I think I made mine myself.
I mean, yeah, it's very simple to make.
Yeah. And then I just keep reusing the same one and just change out all the info every time. Okay, so we already talked about inspections and appraisals. This is just outlining everything that I talked about in my buyer's guide. So preparing to close, this is important. I make sure like the week of closing that I confirm that the buyers have called the utility companies to change the service over. Now, if they're not getting possession right away, I make sure that they have a list of all the utility companies when we close. I schedule the final walkthrough with them. During the final walkthrough, that's when I get a picture with the sold sign. So like you can see these people here, and I prepare my closing gift. So for buyers, I generally do like a really nice basket that they can use in their new house with a custom house sign that I have somebody make for me, a blanket, custom wine, this Nikki Wolf Realtor keychain. On the back, it says like home sweet home, pens, a candle, Amazon Alexa, home. If there's a home warranty, I put the home warranty brochure in there. And I do a home binder as well for buyers. So what this home binder looks like, let's see if I have anything on here that shows it. Yep. So you can kind of see. What it looks like. That's the custom wine. Perfect. There we go. But in the home binder, it'll have, I outline it. I have the MLS sheet in there, all of the signed documents. So the purchase agreement, everything is printed and in this binder. Their home inspection is printed and put in this binder. Their appraisal is printed and put in this binder. Anything pertinent to the purchase is all in this binder so that they can go back and reference at any point in time. Everything is in one location. I've had so many clients that absolutely love that because everything is in one place. So that is one thing that I recently started doing. After the sale. So this is very important. I enroll each one of my buyers into a 5-year follow-up program. So what that looks like is I co-market with a title company, and they work with a company called the Personal Marketing Company. So they have a program that for 5 years, it's $25 per client, flat fee, and my title company covers $10 of that. So for each client, I only pay $15 and it covers them for 5 years. And what they get several touches throughout the year specifically from me, and it's all branded with my face, my logo, whatever I give them. So the first piece they get is a thank you mailing with return addresses for them. They also print out, I usually send the picture of them with the for sale sign or the sold sign. I send that to the personal marketing company, and they have a cute little, I think they make it into a magnet or something. So that is also mailed to them with the return address labels. They get 10 issues of this Today's Living magazine mailed every spring and fall. That is, has my branding on it. And then they get 10 personalized home topic postcards about random things. So they think that I'm personally mailing this stuff, but I'm not doing any of it. So it's a great way to stay in contact with them and top of mind at a very cheap rate, in my opinion. Now, it will also have the title company's logo on there too, because they're co-marketing with us. And if you're interested in that, the company is called The Personal Marketing Company, and they do mailings. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Nikki. I was going to ask you, because I know you had told me about these people before, and I messaged them, and is that like a set, like a bundle, like a 5-year follow-up plan thing, or did you guys
Yes.
create that?
No, they have a bundle. So it's just called their 5-year follow-up program.
Because I know they had sent me, I'll be honest, like they sent me like a whole folder full of marketing stuff, and I loved every bit of it. And I was like, this is overwhelming. It's going to the side, and I never picked it back up again. And I'm glad you brought it back up again, because that's something that I wanted to take, into consideration.
And you should ask, if you work with a title company, I would say to them, hey, do you want to co-market with us? I'll put your logo on it, get us both business. But yeah, I use them for a couple things. So I use them for the 5-year follow-up program. And then I use them for all of my just sold stuff. So initially I was against snail mail. I'm the type of person that does not look at snail mail. I hate going to my mailbox. So I was totally against it. And then there were several agents that I was around, and they're like, I just got a listing from sending out just sold postcards, and I just got a listing, and I just got a new buyer. And I'm like, shit, this really works. Well, what the heck is, $100 after every single sale to send those out if I get a buyer or a seller? And I'm telling you, it works. So I just keep doing it. I send these just sold postcards, so I can design them myself in Canva. I upload them into the personal marketing company, and then you can pick. I usually do like a radius of 100 houses around the house that just sold, and the title agency pays for 30% of it. So typically it's around, and so they pay for the printing and the postage for 100 postcards. I think it's like $80 or something, but then I end up getting 30% back. So it's cheap. It's less than $100. You can pick as wide of a radius as you want, but I usually just do 100 houses. And it has worked out great. So this is an example you could see of what the front of the postcard looks like, the back of the postcard looks like. So I have a QR code on there, and a way for them to reach me. I also send thank you cards that are handwritten to the lender and to the other agent. So the reason why I'm sending it to the lender is I want them to refer business to me. I want them to like working with me, and I want to stay top of mind. The reason why I send it to the other agent, whether I like them or not, I want them to like me, because I want them to want to work with me again If they have a listing that I'm submitting an offer on, I don't want them to think I'm a pain in the ass to work with. So even if it was not a good transaction, I'm still sending them a thank you card. And my thank you cards, I custom designed so they look like that. It has my face on it. If they're gonna hang, I mean, I've been in different lenders' offices, different agents' offices, and they kept it. You know, it's on their cork board or whatever because they thought it was cute. What else do I do? I put the closing date into my CRM for anniversary emails. Every first anniversary, I would send them a personalized happy first anniversary card from me just for the first one. But it was like handwritten, custom designed, send it to them. They also then get the email drip campaigns. And then I email the clients for reviews on Zillow and Google immediately after the closing so that I'm getting those reviews. So my first year in real estate, I think I had like 35 reviews on Zillow. I mean, that's huge. So don't forget about, you know, asking these clients to leave you these reviews because buyers are definitely looking at those. What do we got here? Okay, so every Christmas, I know a lot of people do pop buys. I don't. The only time I do pop buys is at Christmas time or end of the year per se. So, and these have been very, very successful for me. And I always find that it helps kind of kickstart my business for the following year. I literally deliver a gift to every single person that I've done business with. So buyer, seller, if they're still around. If they're a lender that continues to send business to me, I make sure that I get them. So these are some examples of some of the gifts that I have done. The first year I did a custom candle. I don't have a picture of that. Second year I did the wine bottles that I showed earlier with the custom label on them. And people thought that, you know, I was bottling my own wine. They were totally excited about it. The third year, I don't know, we did, I don't know, these custom mugs. So how I did these mugs is, and actually they were super affordable. I got 75 mugs for less than $100. They were like $1 a piece and they have my logo on both sides. So I actually think I'm going to reorder some of these and start using them in closing gifts because I mean, they're great advertising. People think they're cute and they take photos with them and tag you. So I had the mug. I had a local girl make these cocoa bombs in different flavors, and then she packaged them up and there was a cute little tag saying something on it, and everybody just loved it. Even, I mean, the kids love cocoa bombs, adults love cocoa bombs. It was a nice thing. So one of my clients sent me the picture with the farm fresh Christmas trees. I got a lot of people posting about that. This past year, I did custom ornaments. So you could see these door ornaments here. I had them laser etched that said welcome on the front, and the back had my logo and wishing you a Merry Christmas. And I included little candy canes inside and a cute little note with it. So then people were, you know, they think about me every time they go to drink their coffee or they go to put an ornament on their Christmas tree. It's trying to, you know, get them to keep thinking about you. So staying top of mind. You can post all you want on Facebook continuously, but if you're not providing something of value to them, it's something they can use, they're just going to get bored with you and stop looking at your stuff. So, you know, whether that is sending them a card occasionally, what I've tried to get into the habit of recently to drum up more business is to start sending out 5 cards a week that are handwritten to past clients that are just like, hey, thinking about you. I hope all is well. You know, here's a $5 gift card for Starbucks, just to let you know I was thinking about you. Hope you have a good pick me up or something like that. Just letting them know you're thinking about them and you're not asking for anything in return. And you're providing them with value. So you're providing them with a gift. Or, you know, make sure that when you're posting stuff on social media, that it's something that will appeal to anybody, you know, whether it's how to decorate your house for Christmas or ways to organize your pantry, not necessarily, hey, this is specific to buying a house or selling a house, because that won't address everyone. Thank them with a small gift for the referrals. Anyone that sends me a referral always gets a gift card from me. Interact with them on social media and stay in touch with them. That's very important. So this couple right here, I had played co-ed softball for a few years, and I played co-ed softball with them. I have not played co-ed softball in probably 4 years, and I'm still getting referrals from the softball people. And there are people that weren't even on my team that I didn't even play with, but they're continuously referring me to other people. So it was very lucrative to play co-ed softball. And that is what I got for you. So that is how I have built a very substantial referral business with these clients, is just really genuinely letting them know that I care and providing value to them and staying in contact. I think that communication is key in this business and any relationship. So making sure that your communication is clear and concise and you're educating them, they're going to think of you as the go-to person for any of their real estate needs. Any questions?
That was so good, Nikki.
Yay.
Does anybody have any questions about anything that she had talked about? I saw that Donovan has already sent the personal marketing company over to his title rep.
All right, good.
Love it. I put the link in there too. They're super
Perfect.
nice. I think the lady who I spoke to there, she was very, very friendly. She followed up with me a few times. But yeah, it was really good. All the stuff that they sent me, I still have the whole folder of stuff. I was like, man, I don't even know what to pick here. I like all of this stuff.
Mhm. And they can do farming and some other stuff as well. I haven't really got into the whole farming thing personally, but they can do that. So, the opportunities are endless with them, but these are just some of the things that I use them for that have worked for me. And I know it can be overwhelming. Like if you want to send postcards to a certain area, I don't want to have to go through and look up all the addresses, or, there's an agent I know that will do like mailing labels through RPR. That is so time consuming to print these labels, put them. I'm like, I want somebody else to do this for me. So that's what's great about the personal marketing company. They do it all for you. And then they'll also send you a copy. So you'll get a postcard or whatever you send out, so you can see what it looks like when it went out.
Yeah, that's great too, because you want to know what it looks like. You want to know that it went out. You want to know that it's like actually happening, because how else do you know, right?
Right. And there's been a couple times where I was like, oh, that did not print how I thought it would, so I'll make adjustments moving forward with that template or whatever I used.
Awesome.
Cool.
Does anybody else have any other questions or anything? It looks like some people have said, thank you so much. This is great. Well, I'm glad that you guys all joined us today. If anyone has any questions for Nikki, you can always reach out to her on Instagram, Nikki Wolf Realtor. And if anyone has any other questions or anything, let us know. And then we're going to have Nikki back. Nikki like circulates. We're going to have her back again. She is our, Toledo, Ohio go-to. So if anyone has any referrals for her area, keep her in mind. And hopefully we'll have her back on here and we can do more branding stuff and all kinds of good things that she is just excelling at.
Perfect. Well, thanks, guys.
Awesome.
That
Well,
was
we
awesome,
are
Nikki.
like done 5 minutes early. This is unheard of. But this is good. Go have your lunch or breakfast if you're still on Pacific time, if you're on Pacific time, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Nikki.
You're welcome. Have a good week, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.